everyone. Today we got to play
Imperial Settlers Roll and Write.
Yes. So, before we dig into this game, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell because you want to.
Yeah, you want to hear us say settlers more.
Don't even. All right. So let's get into this. Let's talk about quality pieces. This is a roll and write, so you have beautiful pads of paper that you write on. They are in color, so that's kind of nice. Not a lot of art, though. It's pretty basic, generic. And then the very thin cardboard tiles. Oh, I didn't know there was art on the back. Hey, look. Yep. There's art on the back. But even then, it's grid paper with pencil-like drawings with the pencil.
Well, they're supposed to look like blueprints. That's the idea of this. These are all blueprints.
Right. And then you've got these wooden dice that are, again, pretty generic. As far as quality of pieces, 5.
Yeah, probably. I don't think there's anything exciting. The dice are pretty meh. They do, they have the shapes of the images of the resources on them and the workers from Imperial Settlers. But beyond that, it's not anything real exciting.
Yeah.
And the pads, they give you a decent amount of sheets, I guess, but considering each player is going to play one from both pads, and there's the main pad is way thicker than the auxiliary pad, and you're going to need just as many. That seems like an odd decision. I think they may have been counting that somebody's going to play the solo game because they have a totally different pad for the solo game, which is kind of cool that they gave each sheet as its own adventure with its own different buildings.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
But there's 48 sheets in it, and so maybe they're thinking this one you're going to play half the time one player and half the time multiplayer. I don't know, but it just seems like an odd choice to have the two sheets that go together different quantities.
I would actually play this solo. So yeah, it's okay, but I think a 5 is where it is for this. Mm-hmm. Moving on to theme. What theme?
Well, if you're a fan of Imperial Settlers, it's Imperial Settlers themed. It's got the different buildings or the different types of buildings that look like the cards in Imperial Settlers. So
that's a 5.
It's definitely layered on. It is definitely layered on.
It's a 5.
They did try to fit it with the mechanics because the mechanics of the game are about the resources, and they're using the resources from Imperial Settlers. But it's definitely, we're going to make a game that's based on Imperial Settlers theme and put it into a roll and write that doesn't matter what theme it is.
So what would you rate it?
I can't really give it much more than a 5. I like Imperial Settlers a lot, so I'll give it a 6 just because of that.
You're being
very generous on this. It's generous day.
All right, so moving on to rules. Rules are actually pretty straightforward, right?
Yes and no. It's only 8 pages long, but I had to read through it carefully several times. Okay. And when we played it the first time, when Rob taught it, he messed up some of the rules. So we wanted to make sure we got it right, we got it clear. So I had to read it a few times just to be sure. And there's not examples in it in a lot of the cases. There are drawings in here, but there's not really any kind of examples to show you. And one of the real odd choices is in the advanced rules that adds in the buildings over here that you trigger can upgrade. They show one of the buildings, but it's doing the same function as one on this sheet, but it's a different building because it's got a different picture and a different shape on it. Mm-hmm. So it's clearly not the same as what's on the sheet that's your standard sheet. You would think they would have matched the two, but it looks like maybe it's one of them out of the solo play. I don't know. But it seems like an odd choice to have a picture of it.
All I gotta say is I wanted that shape. I would have much rather that shape than there.
Yeah, me too.
Because it would have filled in some spots a little bit better.
So yeah, it was kind of frustrating because like I was reading it. It took me several tries reading through that because I'm trying to understand the advanced game when the shapes didn't match and the picture didn't match what was on the sheet. So I think it could have been done better certainly. I think I'm going to give it a 6.5. It's not bad, but it's not good either. It's definitely meh.
So gameplay-wise, this game is pretty straightforward. So first player takes a special ability, second player takes another one, and then first player does rotate throughout the whole game. So just be aware of that.
Oh, you play
it's a
you
draft
have one
game.
more than the number of players.
Yeah,
available
and you
to
draft the special powers essentially. So you draft the special powers, and then the first player rolls the dice, and everyone uses those resources, which are actions as well as gold.
Gold is
food,
a wild.
Wood, and stone. Gold is a wild, and then you use the number of actions to have that many build spots. So you might want to be careful. Maybe you have too many resources, so you may, but then you don't have enough actions, and then some actions don't, some boxes don't require any resources. So you just have to manage that piece. And once you use all your actions and hopefully use all your resources or vice versa, then the round then you can opt to choose to build a.
Well, that's the advanced rules.
Well,
the settlements are advanced. So, but one of the things that you can do, there's 4 rows basically of buildings that you can go across, and each one of those has boxes on them with resources or not. Some of them are blank. But the bottom row doesn't yield that many victory points, but it does yield bridges, which will allow you to cross over and harvest goods. They take actions to harvest them individually, and you only get them that one time. But if you're short on the resources you need, that could be very helpful to get. I used a lot of mine. I don't know how many you used, but I used a lot of my resources. So these can come in really handy if the die rolls are not in your favor for what you need. But then also you have these buildings on this other sheet. The buildings on the other sheet will enhance your abilities during the game or give you additional bonus resources, and also gives you potential victory points. Now, in the advanced game, is what Miranda was alluding to, is at the end of the round, there's another phase that's added. That's the settlement phase. And in the settlement phase, you can actually take the shapes from these buildings on the other sheet and outline completed areas you have on your board. Whether you've built the building yet or not is irrelevant. But if you make that shape, then you can enhance the building's effects by 1, so that you can increase your power once you get that building built. Now, that's a cool add-on, and it's such a basic game, there's really no reason not to play with it. I mean, they separated it out, I guess, for very novice players, but the game is much better with that functionality.
I really like that functionality.
I did too. I think that's the only thing that sets this apart from any other roll and write, is that. And honestly, I don't think it sets it apart that much. That's one of the complaints I have about this game, is it's especially if you're playing like Hadrian's Wall. I mean, Hadrian's Wall is leaps and bounds better than this one.
That was a beautiful game. That was definitely a beautiful game.
Yeah, this one is a little more basic. Maybe we're spoiled by that one because it's so much more.
Well, no, I mean, here's the thing: when roll and writes were starting to get popular, this is where that kind of came in. Mm-hmm. My family really enjoys rolls and writes, and this is about as advanced as some of this is a good level for the average player.
Yeah.
I am not going to get Hadrian's Wall out with my family.
Oh no.
Because I would cry.
But yeah, I mean, if you're looking for a light roll and write, this one will serve. It's probably one of the meatier ones as far as that goes, because there is a little more to it. But the other thing is, there's not a good way to keep track of your resources in it.
I don't like that, because like this one you double, but then I forgot, and there are many times that I ended up not using all my resources because I forgot I kind of had them.
Well, that's what these boxes over here, these are to make notes, it says. So the idea is, I think, you're supposed to write in these little tiny boxes the resources you have available to you.
Like 4 food, 3, or 4 F, 3
I personally, now Sam, my buddy Sam, could do this, but me, I need more space than that little box.
My concern is then you have to figure out how you spend them. Like, it'd almost be better if they had a pile of resources you could take. Because I started using the dice. I'm like, I'm taking these dice, and as I
know, and it's like, I need to see those. You can't steal the dice; those are shared.
Well,
but yeah, I agree. If this would have been way better if there were resource tokens that you could take and then
But at the same time, I understand with roll and writes, the advantage of them is you can play them mass player, and that's a little harder to manage.
But this one you can't, because it's limited by up to 4 players.
Oh, well then, yeah, give me
There's
some.
no reason they couldn't have done it.
Yeah, give me some.
Again, Hadrian's Wall spoiled us because it has those things. You actually tangibly have your resources or your workers, and you can put them back and keep them. So I think this would have benefited from something like that as well. It would have upped the cost of it.
Yeah, well, I would have been okay with that because I felt like I had forgotten resources.
Yes, I felt like it too. I had to keep going back checking and double checking. Okay, there's the dice. I couldn't possibly get this, so I need to go down here and get resources. Well, but it would have been much easier to have them. Well,
even your actions, like I had to keep my fingers up, and like if I had 5 actions, all right, I spent one. All right, I spent one, but then once I did that, I couldn't remember which ones I did. So if I wanted to go back, I couldn't. So that was, I think, kind of the housekeeping was very frustrating with this game. But overall, I mean, it's a cute little roll and ride. And I'm gonna give this probably a 7.
That's basically where I am on it as well. I think it's a 7. It's a good game. I think it could have been a better game if they would have added some more functionality to the gameplay, and if they had the resources to manage your upkeep, because it is kind of a chore to keep track of which resources you have, which ones you need, what did you spend as far as actions go, all of that, and you've got a little square on the paper that you can possibly make notes in.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is a serious problem. And I'm finding that with the more games that we play, the more housekeeping I have to do. It takes away from the fun for that. And that's kind of a miss.
Now, I will say there is an app version of this game. And I have not played it yet. It's on my iPad. And I know Rob plays it a lot, but I haven't played it. So I'm going to play that because now that I've played this again, it's been a while since we played this one. Now that my memory's fresh, I'm going to go back and play that probably tonight. So I can play something where the upkeep is not, I'm assuming, will be maintained for me. I won't have to try to type it into a little box on the screen. So I'll be throwing my iPad across the room.
So overall, pretty good. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We had a lot of fun tonight, and hopefully you guys did too. Hopefully we'll catch you guys later.
Bye.
Hello, everyone. Today we got to play Imperial Settler. Let's try this again.
From the top.
Hello, everyone. Today we got to play Imperial Settlers. Let me try. Imperial Settlers. Let's try.
Settlers.
Imperial Set. Holy cow! Imperial Set.
You realize this is going to the end of
I know. Imperial Settlers. I'm going to make you do this. Imperial Settlers. No, that's not right.
Settlers.
Imperial.
You're cutting a syllable out.
Settler. Wait, what?
Settlers.
Settlers. You're saying it.